Welcome to the Growth Now movement. I'm your host, Justin Shank. I'm an entrepreneur, speaker, and podcaster who years ago decided to go on a journey on how to grow in all areas of my life. What I found out was it's really a matter of focusing on the 4 pillars of life: business, relationships, spirituality, and wellness. And that's what we do here. We explore how to continuously grow in those areas, all while having a ton of fun doing it. I'm really excited you're on this journey with me. Now let's get to this week's episode. This week, I sit down with Gino Wickman. Gino is the founder of EOS Worldwide, an organization that helps thousands of businesses implement EOS with the aid of an international team of over 350 professional and certified EOS implementers and online support. There are more than 100,000 companies currently using the EOS tools worldwide. He's also the author of the best-selling book Traction. You may know him from the book How to Be a Great Boss or Rocket Fuel. And in this episode, we're going to talk about his new book, Entrepreneurial Leap. I absolutely love diving deep with Gino about what is an entrepreneur, how does he view it, what does he view an entrepreneur as, and what is the right approach jumping into the deep end of being an entrepreneur, and how do you do it the right way. He shares in-depth knowledge and information in this episode. I think you guys are really going to love it. Now, before we get to the episode, I want to remind you guys that Growth Now Summit Live is coming up in about 10 months now, and I'm really, really excited to finally be back in person with you guys. I'm bringing a top-notch, unmatched speaker list, which you've already seen some of the people we've announced, like Ruby Freeman from last week, Chris Van Vliet, Brad Lambert, Freddie Vasquez, and so many more. You need to get there because this event is going to be life-changing. Grab your tickets now, growthnowsummit.com. Just get your tickets. They are super cheap right now. I want to make sure I'm giving you as much access as possible, but as we get closer, price is going up. So growthnowsummit.com, grab your tickets and join us May of 2022. I cannot wait to see you there. Now, without further ado, let's get to the episode with Gino Wickman. Gino, welcome to the show, man.
Thrilled to be here, Justin. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, you know, I have a friend who often would bring up the book Traction, and she would often be like, it's an incredible book. You have to read it. You have to do it. And she'll be thrilled to know that I'm sitting down with the man, the myth, the legend, and the author of that best-selling book. Obviously, we're going to get into the new one you wrote, but why don't we start with who is Gino today? And we'll break down how you got there and we'll get into the story. But who are you today?
Yeah, so I am still the same person I was at 18 from a standpoint. Well, I'll say 21 from a standpoint of I'm a guy who is obsessed about what makes businesses succeed. You know, so somehow in my early 20s, I just became fascinated by that. So I'm obsessed about entrepreneurs, helping them, understanding how they succeed and helping them succeed. So that's who I am. In addition to that, you know, I feel like it's all outside of that. You know, I'm a father, I'm a husband. I think I'm a pretty darn good one. I feel like that's like table stakes. You know, I mean, come on, if you got kids and you're married, if you're not great at those 2 things, shame on you. So that's priority 1. But what my business passion is entrepreneurs. And that's been the last 30 years of my life.
That's awesome. So you mentioned, you know, being 21 years old and being obsessed with this idea of like what makes businesses tick, how do they operate, how are they successful, the whole entrepreneur thing. What was it at that age where you're like, I'm going to look into this? What was the thing kind of drawing you into that?
Yeah, so I didn't realize I was an entrepreneur until 29. When I was 29, I really knew that's what I was. So, but what I started doing at 21 is lots of entrepreneurial things. I took my leap at 21, didn't go to college, went and worked in a machine shop, the most unconventional road to where I got. But I was just kind of bumping along, trying a lot of stuff. I saved up a lot of money, left the machine shop, was going to go seek my fortunes and make my millions. So I absolutely, when I graduated high school, I knew I was going to make a lot of money. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to be successful. So that's what was driving me. And as I took the leap, for lack of a better term, and started to get into business, if you will, I ultimately ended up taking over a family business at 25, got involved in that business at 24. So just through that whole success mindset, I was introduced at a young age to all of these incredible thought leaders at the time. You know, Jim Rohn and Earl Nightingale and Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. And so all of it, you know, so I I was just drawn to it. Something clicked for me at 21, 22 years old. And then I took over the family business at 25. That's when it got very, very focused. I had two great mentors, and my dad and a gentleman by the name of Sam Cupp. And I had this decade in my 20s of just being, I kind of felt like Neo, man. It was like they plugged it in and it just all got downloaded in my 20s. I darn near killed myself. I worked way too freaking hard and way too much, but that's where that comes from. I don't know. I think it's like something bigger and more powerful than me, but it's coming through me, man. And thank God for that.
Yeah, something interesting that you said early on during that little bit there was, I knew I was going to be successful. I knew I was going to be wealthy. I think a lot of people feel like they're going to be, right? But they're not totally locked into knowing, right? Like you said it with such certainty, which I love hearing. And so few people do that. And you went in and you put in the work, right? You mentioned being in your 20s and working way too much in your late 20s. I feel like that is something, and I want to get your take on this. I feel like that's something entrepreneurs feel like they need to do. They feel like they need to be head down in their business 24/7. If they're not working, they're losing out on so much. What's your take on that now, 30 plus years into the journey? What's your take on entrepreneurs and that hustle mentality?
Yeah, it's great. And say one thing before that you prompted, and then answer that point on. But so again, I knew I was going to be successful. When I graduated high school, I told my friends I'm going to be making 50 grand a year by the time I'm 25, which, that was back in the late 80s. That was a lot of money back then.
That was a lot of money.
I was making 100 grand by the time I was 25. But here's the funny thing. I was broke 3 times. So on this journey to be successful and wealthy, I was broke at, 21 or 22. I was broke at 24, and I was broke at 32. So the point I want to make in this is I told myself, in addition to making 50 grand at 25, I was going to be a millionaire by age 30. And so I always said that. Well, I missed it by a year. I was a millionaire by age 31, and then broke and $200,000 in debt by 33. So the point is this: if you set a goal to be a millionaire, include in the goal to keep the money. Okay. So I left that part out of the goal. Anyway, long story short, to answer your question, I killed myself in my 20s because I thought that was the way to do it. I learned in my 30s that there's a better way to do it. So again, like I said, at 29, I realized I was an entrepreneur, sold the family business, set off to start this EOS journey, if you will, in building EOS Worldwide. Well, I built that organization with my partner, Don. I took the month of August off every year. I take an August sabbatical. I did that the entire 20-year run of building EOS Worldwide. I took off. Right now my formula is I work 40 weeks a year and 55 hours a week. And so the point in that is hustle is vital. In other words, when I work, it is intense. I work hard. I am focused. I am incredibly efficient. You would not believe the output in those 55 hours a week. So I'm working hard when I'm working, but I'm playing really hard when I'm playing. And so you just have to figure out your work container. And then from there, you delegate all else that doesn't fit in the work container. Because what most people do, they have this endless work container that's non-negotiable, and they work 365, 24 hours a day, and they do what I did to myself in my 20s. So there is a better way, but you still have to hustle, but hustle within your work container.
Yeah. Now you mentioned EOS, and I'm glad you said that because I want to dive into that organization a little bit and kind of where the idea came from and kind of what the impact that you guys are making now on entrepreneurs and helping grow businesses all over the world. Tell me a little bit about that. What made you go, hey, I want to help others? I think that's a big leap, right? I made the millions, lost the millions, but I made the millions and now I want to help others. Where did that come from and why EOS?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the helping others has always been in me, so it's not like I decided one day to start helping others, because while I was going broke 3 different times, I was still wanting to help others. So that teacher thing has always been in me. But what drove EOS and the creation of EOS is it goes back to this obsessiveness and this passion for entrepreneurs, helping them and understanding how and why they succeed. And so with all that experience in my 20s, I also became a student of the strategic coach program with Dan Sullivan. I had a light bulb moment in my late 20s, again, as I closed in on 29 years old, what my unique ability was, as he called it. And that is, I am here to help entrepreneurs get everything they want out of their businesses. And the way I further describe it is giving them total freedom, giving them the ability to express their creativity and have an impact on the world. And so once I realized that helping entrepreneurs was the thing, because I helped my dad, who was an entrepreneur, he was the first testing ground. I went out and found one that would let me help him, and another and another and another. And so over 5 years, I put the finishing touches on EOS, again, all obsessing about helping entrepreneurs. Over a 5-year period, doing 500 full day sessions, I figured out the secret formula, if you will. And then I joined forces with my partner, Don, to then leverage that to the world. And so at the core of all of it is just this obsession and this passion for wanting to help entrepreneurs. That's who I serve. That's what I was born to do. And so hopefully in there, you hear the answer.
No, I love that. And it's true. And when you talk about this stuff, you can actually feel your passion for it. Like you can literally, it literally is radiating out of you, which I love seeing. And, I want to get to your newest book here, Entrepreneurial Leap. But before we dive into this incredible content, what is an entrepreneur to you? I feel like some people hear that term. Anybody who's not an entrepreneur, they hear that term and they think it's just actually I've heard people go, well, that means you're broke, right? Like that whole idea of like, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you're broke. What is an entrepreneur to you?
Yeah, to me. And there's about 7,000 definitions out there. So this is a great place to start because it is a little amorphous and squishy and confusing. And so I'll give my definition. And in the definition, I'm going to try and be as efficient as I can in this answer, but I've got to say 2 or 3 things. And so first, it's a blanket long sentence that is, I believe an entrepreneur is someone who takes a risk to start a business, to either improve upon something that exists or create their own product or service to bring it to the world to add value, and then builds a business with people. Okay. And so to me, you got to have people in your business to truly be considered an entrepreneur. So that's just my humble definition. There's a lot of one-person shows that call themselves entrepreneurs. I don't know that I buy that, but again, it's debatable. That's my definition number 1. Definition number 2, I teach it in the book, and it's called the entrepreneurial range. If you picture an arc, on the right side of the arc, it's a true entrepreneur. On the left side of the arc, it's self-employed. And so my point in that is anybody that has their own business, you're somewhere on that range. And so on the far left, self-employed means you're a one-person show. You have a side hustle. You're a freelancer. On the far right are the greatest entrepreneurs of all time: Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, Walt Disney, Sarah Blakely, Henry Ford. So if you have your own business, you're somewhere on that range. The conversation we're about to have and the definition of entrepreneur are the people on the right side of that range. And that's not to discount the people on the left side of the range, because the sole proprietors, it's admirable, it's respectable. You're still taking a risk. You have your own business. I just don't consider that an entrepreneur. Okay. And then the last part is, and we don't have to go deep into this yet, I'm going to let you lead us, but then I believe a true entrepreneur is defined by 6 essential traits. And that's what I define in the book. Love to share them. And so that's I tried to say it as fast as I could, but that's my definition of what a true entrepreneur is.
No, I love that definition as well. It's somebody, in my mind, it's somebody who takes that leap to build something huge to make an impact in the world. And I mean, those people that you named obviously are the cream of the crop, right? Elon Musk, Oprah, Sarah Blakely, et cetera. Now, let's talk a little bit about those 6 things that you just mentioned. Like, what are those things that every entrepreneur possesses?
Yeah. And as I go into that, I'm bringing 30 years of history of working with entrepreneurs. So I kind of did this journey in reverse. So I've been helping successful entrepreneurs become even more successful for 30 years. Now I'm going to the front end of the entrepreneurial journey and helping entrepreneurs in the making realize why they're on this earth, find them, and show them a path. And so with that, it all starts with first confirming that the person is an entrepreneur. And so I write the book in 3 parts: confirm, glimpse, and path. And so we can't talk about the path until we first confirm you are a true entrepreneur, because we're wasting our time, and everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. So this content and book does break some hearts, but see the entrepreneurial range when in doubt. Maybe you're just on the left side of the range, and that's okay. All that said, we first have to confirm you have those 6 essential traits. And so here they are. I want you to scan your body out there, everyone listening and watching, and just see if this is you. And so they are visionary, passionate, problem solver, driven, risk taker, and responsible. And if you've exhibited those traits all your life, you are an entrepreneur in the making. Please Go set out to be why you were put on the face of this earth. And again, I also believe very strongly you are born with these. They cannot be taught. It is nature over nurture. And that's always a fun, debatable topic. Half the world agrees with me, half doesn't. So it's fun.
Yeah, I actually don't have any say in that. Like, somebody's asked me that before, like, do you think an entrepreneur is born, or can you learn it? And I don't have an answer for it. Like, I think everybody's on their own unique journey. Like, maybe you're born with those things, but you didn't realize it till later in life and all those other things. But I think you're right. I think it is a little bit leaning towards nature versus nurture for sure. And as you say those things, I think a lot of people hear them and they go, I'm those things, like proudly they claim it, right? But maybe they're not. So what would you say to somebody being like, you know what, maybe I'm a little unsure. How do they gauge whether they have those things or they don't? Is there a way through mentorship or, ask the people around you? What's your thought on that?
Well, the easiest way is take the 10-minute assessment I created. So that question was too easy. So it's a free assessment on the website, e-leap.com. Fill it out. You score 90 or higher, odds are you've got the 6 essential traits. So I would start there. Then take it a step further, read the first third of this book, because it takes you on this soul searching journey of self-discovery. And then from there, it's all about awareness, because only you can answer it for yourself. And so in that first third, I just take you through a process of really being honest with yourself. And so, but the assessment is a great first place to start. And just please, as you answer each one of those 25 questions, be really honest with yourself as you answer them. And you're going to start on the journey of answering that for yourself. But end of the day, the point is this. Like I said, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now. I will never believe for a minute that we can teach 7.5 billion people on this planet to be entrepreneurs. So please, that's a disservice, anybody that's teaching that. My humble opinion, like I said, it's debatable. But the whole idea here is I'm trying to save lives. I'm trying to save you 10 years of hell, because the point that you just made, how do you know if you have them? Well, let's pretend you're saying to me, listen, I don't believe you. I can develop them. I'm going to go start my own business. You're going to find out really fast if you have these, because as you're getting your ass handed to you in the first year, every single one of those 6 essential traits, they show up instantly. Yeah. So you're going to know within weeks, months, worst case, the first year if you have them, because you're going to get chewed up and spit out if you don't.
Yeah. Real quick. Yeah. That's crazy. So how many people do you think are going to buy this book and then read the first third of it and go, okay, I'm done?
A lot, sadly, most, because that's my point. Most want to be an entrepreneur. In the 70s and 80s, everybody wanted to be a rock star, so this is the new rock star. Who knows what it'll be in 20 to 30 years from now, but this is the new rock star. And people are being sold a bill of goods that like, this is the greatest job on the planet. We're all supposed to build billion-dollar tech unicorns. And so I'm as much, like I said, I'm delivering bad news and breaking hearts as I am trying to find these incredible souls that are meant to build businesses. Because if you don't have them, it's not a death sentence in life. Now the good news is now you've got 999 other options for a career option. This is just one of many. It is not the ultimate pinnacle in life, I promise you. And it's borderline crazy to do what we do. I mean, it's borderline stupidity, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, we get our ass kicked 95% of the time to enjoy success 5% of the time. It's madness.
Yeah. The highlight of the entrepreneur over the last 10 years, maybe that's a little too long even, but it's become interesting because it is guiding people down a path of maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't my thing. And so, when I speak on the 4 pillars, what I consider the 4 pillars of life. And the first one, I used to just say business, but I changed to business/finances because I'm like, not everybody wants to run a business or should run a business. So how do I make sure I'm speaking to that larger audience? And it's so true. What's your take on the rockstar entrepreneur? And maybe Gary Vee's the first, maybe he was the guy who made it a thing. I don't know, but what's your take on that? Should it be highlighted the way it does, or it is?
Well, I think it's dangerous that it is, but I would suggest this because it's really important what you said there. And it takes us right back to that entrepreneurial range, because please understand, if you want to be self-employed, you can still be on the far left side of that range. So I always like to say, if you have handy skills, you can go be a handyman or a handy woman, charge $60 an hour, make $100,000 a year, and be totally free for the next 20 years of your life and just stay all the way to the left. But if you have all 6 essential traits, you won't be able to stop yourself. And so if we go back to 5,000 years of history, before we put a label on it or hyped it up so much, a natural entrepreneur just can't help themselves but to go out and start businesses. So I definitely do not think Gary Vee invented this. I'm a huge Gary Vee fan, but if we go back to who invented it, first, the word was created 150 years ago. To me, Michael Gerber and the E-Myth is where it kind of starts for me. That's where I got my original introduction. So I consider him kind of the godfather of entrepreneurship, if you will. So it was well before Gary Vee, but Gary Vee, obviously, through a new medium, made it very, very popular. So I do think all the hype is dangerous because I don't think everybody can be one and should be one. But with that said, that's why I've written the book I've written. We're here having this conversation and teaching your audience so that you just simply make the right decision for yourself. And you may realize, holy cow, I don't want to, nor am I able to build a 50-person company. But having a side hustle, being a one-person show, buying a franchise, those are all great options. And those are just on the left side of the entrepreneur range, and it's okay.
No, I love it. And so let's dive a little bit deeper into the book, right? So we read the first third and we go, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I check all the boxes. I'm ready to build the business. I'm ready to do the things. What's next after the leap? Like what's next? What's in this book for people?
Yeah. And so what happens is now we've confirmed, like you said, now we go to the second part of the book, which is glimpse. And so before we talk about the third part, path, and you start to run, I get you to put the brakes on and I just show you the life. What I believe is if you are an entrepreneur and you have those traits, if I can help you see it in vivid color in your brain, your odds will soar that you will succeed and you will eliminate half the mistakes you're going to make. So I do 3 things in the glimpse part of the book. First of all, I share countless real world stories of people who were right where you are and how they built what they built. Number 2, I show a day in the life of an entrepreneur, both heaven and hell, the dream and the nightmare, so they can see the contrast. And then I share the 8 critical mistakes that you should avoid that almost every entrepreneur makes to avoid living the nightmare. And then the third thing I do is I share all of the options. And this is where I get to that point where the only option isn't tech billion-dollar unicorn companies. There are so many more options. And so I take them through a tool I created called My Biz Match that helps them understand all of the industries that exist, all of the types of businesses, product, service, B2B, B2C, high price, low price, and size. And the point in all of that is it helps them understand as a potential entrepreneur to start to put their radar up as to what they're built for. What are all the options? Because every entrepreneur is not built to build every company. At the end of the day, if you realize, I just want to build a $5 million heating and cooling company with 40 people, that is admirable. That will make an impact on the world. So just be careful thinking that you have to build a $1 billion company. Very, very few people are able to build a $1 billion company. So maybe you're one of them, but it's also okay to build a 1 million, 5 million, $20 million company. And so that's what it does. So when you see that, all of a sudden it creates clarity, then you're ready to run. And then we rein you in a little bit with path, but we'll go there next, obviously.
Yeah. So how important is passion when becoming an entrepreneur or going to build the business?
It is vital, in my humble opinion. And in Path, I write an entire chapter on the vital importance. I give 7 exercises to discover your passion. The point is, a lot of times you're going to discover the passion as you're out there working and figuring it out. I didn't fully figure out my passion. So I had this wild and crazy run in my 20s that we talked about. It was 8 years into all those different things I did till I really figured out the passion. So that's okay that you don't know it exactly. And it's okay to go work somewhere and figure it out, try these industries, maybe start a business and realize that wasn't, so you discover it over time. But I do give you 7 exercises to discover it. I hope you discover it now. Just be patient with it. It's going to come. You got to try a lot of stuff. And passion tends to stem from a pain and a wound. So if you look back at your life, I'm doing this because of the pain I felt at 18 as a mislabeled derelict. I was insecure, terrified, entrepreneur in the making, didn't know what I was. That's why I'm so passionate about this. I created EOS because I saved my family's business and my entrepreneurial father and his business. And so I lived that pain. That's why I'm so passionate about helping entrepreneurs become even more successful. So you'll find it. It's in there, but it is absolutely vital because you are going to get your ass kicked. And when you get knocked down as an entrepreneur, it's stupid to get back up. And the only thing, because there's no logic in you getting back up, the odds are against you. So the only reason you get back up as an entrepreneur is passion. Passion is the thing that helps you push forward and do what most of the world can't, and is borderline impossible. And so long answer, short answer, it's vital.
So can making money be the passion? Like, can that be the driver for somebody to get back up? Like, I look at like a porta potty company. I don't know why this came to mind. I look at like a porta potty company. I don't know if that individual who started it is passionate about shit. And so if we look at that, like, can passion be driven by money?
Yeah. So I'll let you be the gauge of time. I want to go a little deeper into this one because it's so important, because I believe if money's your motivator, it's dangerous. Okay. My humble 2 cents. And I believe that I believe money follows. I am a capitalist. I intend to make lots of money. Please don't get me wrong. And all this social capital crap, I mean, please call it what you want to call it. That's what we're calling it this decade. It'll have a new name next decade, whatever it is. For 5,000 years, there have been capitalists, thank God. And for 5,000 more, there will be capitalists. You can color it whatever you want to color it. We like to make money, and that's what makes the world go round. So the point in that is money follows. And a good capitalist knows they have to create value in the world. And so you just have to figure out what the value is. And so someone who, sells shit or whatever, your point there is, I think you will find someone that, rents porta-johns. You will find them to be passionate, but what they're passionate about is not shit, as you said. What they're passionate about, I find that when we help our clients discover their passion, it falls into 4 categories, okay? The words are always different, but it falls into 4 categories. And so the first and most popular category is always that it's about the customer, it's about the client, it's about helping and serving. And so that's where mine falls. I'm all about the entrepreneur and helping them get everything they want out of their business. And so the person selling and renting porta-johns, they might be very passionate about creating an amazing experience for the customer that needs to figure out where people go to the bathroom. And I promise you, you will find that. The second type of passion is about the product or the service. In other words, they are absolutely passionate about their product and service and being innovative and creative with it. The third type is about the organization, the entity. They just want to build an incredible company with lots of amazing people. And so again, the Porta-John company, that's going on for some of them. They just want to build an amazing company with amazing people. And then the fourth and final is about competition, winning, crushing competitors. The passion is they want to win. They want to be the best. They want to be number one. They want to crush competitors. And so the words are always different, but the passion tends to fall into one of those 4 categories. And so money follows. If you have 100 people in your company and you align them around that passion, you will make more money than focusing on making money. My humble 2 cents, my experience with thousands of companies and clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You keep saying my humble opinion, but it's all pretty spot on. I gotta say, I'm on the same page as you. So, let's get to this third part of the book, which is path. And I think a lot of times we, as entrepreneurs, when we begin, like we fail a lot, right? And that's part of the journey. That's part of the path. Or you could buy this book and say, hey, here's at least a roadmap. Talk a little bit about the path section of this book beyond the passion that we just mentioned. But what else is in that section that people can look forward to?
Yeah, for sure. I love that you called it a roadmap because it's exactly what it is. And I call it milestones, though. And see, these are the milestones on the journey. And I'm trying to increase your odds of success, help you eliminate half the mistakes. And so what I'll do is I'll just give you each chapter at a high level, and you pick the one that is appealing for your audience. But what I do in the entire path section, about 8 chapters, first chapter is college or not. So if you're at an age where you're deciding on college as an entrepreneur, I give you all the facts, and it's a decision you make for yourself. Next chapter is the Discover Your Passion chapter, the chapter on passion. The next chapter is mentoring, how to find a mentor. The next is what I call 10-year thinking. And so it's all about being patient, but taking action. Life changing when you shift your thinking to 10-year thinking. The next chapter is called 8 Disciplines for Increasing Your Odds of Success. The next chapter after that is 9 Stages of Building Your Business. And then I wrap up with a chapter called A Lifetime of Growth, Learning, and Motivation, where I offer up tons of books, podcasts, videos, blogs, quotes, and all kinds of stuff to keep you motivated for a lifetime.
I love it. So you had mentioned what did you say? 8 tactics to help with success?
8 disciplines, yes.
Disciplines. Okay. So I usually ask every single person I interview the same question, which is number 1, what's your definition of success? And number 2, what are 3 things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself? So I imagine this kind of falls in line with that. So I'm going to shift it a little bit for you. What is your definition of success? And what are these 8 tactics that then any entrepreneur can begin to put in their life and really create that success?
Yeah, for sure. So I subscribe to Earl Nightingale's definition of success. And he defines success as success is the worthy progression. Is the success is the working toward a worthy goal or ideal. And so the point in that is working towards something. Yeah. So this 10-year thinking I talked about, I'm always working toward 10-year goals. Last year, I just finished one. This year, I set a new one. That's what this project is about, impact 1 million entrepreneurs in the making. So I'm always working toward a big goal. And so I believe that is what success is. As long as you're progressing toward a worthy goal or deal, you're successful. Because the irony is, the second you hit your big goal, you get depressed. Okay. So this is, you're miserable. Like the day most entrepreneurs sell their business, which was the ultimate goal, they're depressed, miserable, and they lose their identity. How ironic. And so the whole thing's a journey. So working towards something big is success to me. And it's all about just making progress. And then as for the 8 disciplines, I'll give them to you at a high level. And if there's one you'd love to drill down on, we can certainly do that. But here are the 8 disciplines for increasing your odds of success as an entrepreneur who's about to start a business. Number 1, clarify your vision. Number 2, decide if you are a partner person. Number 3, know that the bigger the problem you solve in the world, the more successful you will be. Number 4, get feedback from customers and clients early and often. Number 5, know that your first plan will not be your final plan. Number 6, work hard, really hard, per our earlier conversation. Number 7, take criticism and doubt from others with a grain of salt. And number 8, see it every night.
So I want to dive into the partner thing. And here's why. When I began this podcast that I didn't realize was going to become a business, it was just a way to talk to entrepreneurs at first. I had a co-host. I had a co-host for the first 64 episodes of what is now 400 episodes. But I had a co-host, and I thought that's the way I needed to do it because I looked at it as a safety net. I was like, well, if we fail, it's not only my fault, it's his fault too. And I didn't really get the success until I cut that cord. And by the way, he's still one of my best friends. I always highlight that. But I cut the cord with him on the podcast, and that's when the success happened because everything started to flow and the passion was seen and the work was put in. But how do you realize without going through what I went through, am I a partner person or not?
Yes, great. And I'm glad you're picking this one because this one I'm very passionate about. And hopefully this is going to help a lot of people out there. So the point I'm making in this 8 disciplines for increasing your odds of success is to know if you are a partner person. So there are 2 types of entrepreneurs when you start your business. You are either a partner person or you are not a partner person, okay? And so let's start with the not a partner person. That is someone who should never have a partner. That is okay. That doesn't make you selfish. There's not something wrong with you. So lots of my clients own 100% of their business, and amen and hallelujah for that. So you just need to know that about yourself. They pay their people very well. They have profit sharing for their people. So everybody's making a lot of money in that company, but the owner owns 100%. It is okay. They know they don't want partners. They don't like partners. And I've spent a lot of years unwinding partnerships for my clients that realized they weren't partner people and they started out as partnerships. Yeah. Then we go to the second type. Well, in the second type, there's 2 types of partner person. So if you are a partner person, you are either a partner person that loves equal shares between partners. If there's 2 of you, it's 50-50. If there's 3 of you, it's a third. If there's 4 of you, you get the point. Or there's the partner person that loves the people around them having equity. They have partners, but they have controlling interest. Okay. And so very quickly, I am that type of entrepreneur. I love having partners, but I will never give up control. I will always have the final say, final decision maker, not an option to be equal partners. So that's what I know about myself. And that has served me very, very well. So you have to decide that. And then again, the other type of partner person is you like to share in it 100%. You're all shoulder to shoulder, whether that's 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you. Just know that about yourself, because if you don't and you choose wrong, 10 years from now, you're going to be in holy hell unwinding partnerships and things like that. And so this one is going to save a lot of lives and has already saved a few for what that is worth. So it's a very, very important early lesson.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want, is to have to untangle that, right? Like there's a lot of friends who become partners and it destroys friendships and relationships and so on and so forth. So that's huge. And it's something that's super important. I'm glad you covered it in the book. Now, we're coming towards the end of the interview here, and I wrap up every single interview with the same question. But before we get there, let's get to the good stuff. How do people get this book? How do they get a hold of you? What's all the good information?
Yeah, so the epicenter of all things Entrepreneurial Leap is the website, e-leap.com. And so what you'll find there are a ton of free tools. This is a passion project. So take the assessment. It's free. It's 10 minutes. So there are 3 tools on the website: the Entrepreneur in the Making assessment, the My Biz Match, and the My Vision Clarifier. And each tool matches one of those 3 parts: confirm, glimpse, path. We call the whole thing 1, 2, 3 roadmap. In an hour, you'll have a roadmap to start a better startup. So just click on 1, 2, 3 roadmap. And if you have interest in becoming a collaborator of ours, we have about 100 now. If you love mentoring, teaching, helping, guiding entrepreneurs in the making, I give you my content for free. You're free to teach it. If that's up your alley, just click on the Become a Collaborator button. But just a ton of free tools. Sign up for our weekly video, every other week article, just a ton of content if you think that you are an entrepreneur or you want to help entrepreneurs in the making.
I love it, Gino. First of all, I will say before I ask the last question, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
I appreciate that.
I purposely don't go and listen to other interviews that you've done in the past. And I know you've done a lot of podcasts, but I don't, because I don't want to be skewed to ask certain questions or go down a certain path or whatever. And I didn't really 100% know what to expect, but I've loved it so far. And so thank you so much for being you. And so, like I said, I wrap up every single interview with the same question. Since the show is called The Growth Now Movement, that question is: in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
Whoa. Well, I feel like that's an easy one, and I'm just checking myself to make sure I'm not defaulting to the easy one. But it's like I shared, around 32 when I lost everything. So I hit the goal of becoming a millionaire and then lost it all within 2 years, and then looked back and said, this is the 3rd time I did this. There's a pattern here, So that was the greatest learning, because what happened is each time my wife had no idea in any of those cases, because we've been together since we were 17 years old. And I just kept her in the dark. So the greatest lesson was the 3rd time it happened, 33 years old. I decided I am telling her everything. She started taking care of the books and the finances and paying the bills so that I had a checkup on that. But what I learned is financial independence. So we talk about growth. I just got much more conservative with the money I was generating. And no matter how you slice it, they talk about how the first million is always the hardest. Well, there's no question, when you have a nice cushion, you do get a little more creative, you're a little freer. And so I absolutely took off once I dug out of the debt that I was in, once I built a foundation. So once I got financially smart and really learned about finances and financial independence and broke the old pattern of just spending everything, you talk about growth, everything took off from there.
Awesome. Gino, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your wisdom. Thank you for writing this book, which, like you said, hopefully will save many, many people from going down an agonizing path. This has been absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, Justin. Great to meet you.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Growth Now movement. This is how you can really help me out. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please share it out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And let's grow this movement to epic heights. And it's all going to be because of you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.